Good morning and welcome to episode 14 of the Bob and Kevin Show. On today's episode, we're going to cover all the headlines that matter to us in our On the Clock segment. We'll also have our internet famous YouTube quiz, and we might just talk some extra stuff. We don't really know yet, so we're just playing it by ear. It's Monday, March 5th. Please stow away all your large electronic devices and be sure your seat is in the upright position because we're cleared for takeoff.
All right, you get total cheese points for that. It was very cheesy. I like it. So
part of my Monday morning routine is to come up with something silly to say at the beginning there.
Speaking of silly, we have a new hashtag to throw out there at you. It is hashtag way too few subscribers. I'd like to think that me getting up early, Bob getting up early, doing show prep on a Sunday, grabbing some headlines, talking about them on Monday would be valuable to someone. But apparently, I need to do more. So, Bob.
We do it for the love of the game for the most part, but we do have a goal in mind. We're trying to get to that 100 subscriber mark so that we can get that custom YouTube URL, kind of like, some bling for our vehicles. So hit that button, please, if you're watching and enjoying. So how's the weekend? Let's move on from the bag and let's move to the banter.
Yeah. So I had a I don't know what I did this weekend. Every Monday morning, I'm like, what?
Well, you watched the Oscars last night, didn't you?
Yeah. So I did watch the Oscars, and to avoid copyright issues, I'm going to just talk about them at the moment. And it was interesting. Jimmy Kimmel did a good job, and the surprise of the night for me was Kobe Bryant, the former NBA All-Star champion, wins an Oscar last night.
I heard it was a surprise to him too, right?
If I were there, just as like I win a contest and I sit somewhere in the theater, Dolby Theater, and they call my name, that's how surprised Kobe Bryant looked. He's just like, wait, what? They told me that I could win, not that I was gonna. Wait, what? We won? And somewhere Leonardo DiCaprio is going, you know how long it took me to get one?
Kobe's first time in the game, and he wins a game-winning three-pointer.
Yeah, so it's always, who's the best NBA player of all time? A lot of times people say, well, it's Michael Jordan, and being close to Chicago.
Obviously Michael Jordan.
I knew I was going to get that answer. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, etc. So usually it's the two three-peats for Michael Jordan. Gosh, I don't even know how to do this. It looks like a gang sign. Awkward. Great, but Michael Jordan was in Space Jam. He didn't. That was not Oscar. I don't know. That didn't win an Oscar, right?
That should have swept the whole award season.
Right.
Space Jam wins it all.
And then
best picture, best actor, best director.
Kobe Bryant doesn't have 6, and my stats and research assistant didn't give me the numbers on how many championships Kobe's guys got, like 3 or 4. But now you throw that Oscar in there. Does the Oscar come into the equation of best NBAer ever, or
if he can sing, he's a triple threat.
Man. So anyway,
JT hang out.
The Oscars was good. They didn't give the awards to anyone that wasn't supposed to get it, like last year, at least as far as we know so far. So yeah, that was the highlight of my weekend, the Oscars. What about you, Bob?
I opted out. I watched The Walking Dead, second episode of the back half of the season. It's moving right along. Carl's dead. Oh, sorry. Didn't want any, no spoilers. But yeah, Carl's dead. So spoiler alert.
So I think I've poked fun at. So I watched the first 3 seasons of Walking Dead, and then it turned into this just formula flavor of the week. People die when we don't have good things. Yeah, I'm gonna hate on Walking Dead. So when we can't think of anything, let's have a bunch of people get chased and die by zombies, like some side people, and the rest of you just shoot at them. We won't worry about having to use the restroom or feeding ourselves. Just assume that
they had a whole season about how they had to feed themselves. They made a farm, or they didn't make a farm. They made a garden. It was an issue. Just gotta hang in there.
Right. And then you have like bad guy of the week or season or half season where some bad guy somehow like has their own cult all of a sudden, this micro community. And
we have to remember that it's based off a comic book. It's not a documentary.
I think they've just run out of good ideas. And as long as the money train keeps going, choo choo, right? So anyway.
Coral's still alive in the comic books.
Well,
so they don't even follow the comic books to the T.
Next thing I totally expect from Walking Dead is somebody to say, "Can you believe the robots took over?" And I'll be like, "What?"
I'm waiting for aliens to come for sure.
Something very Cloverfield. Just like out of left field, just like, wait, aliens? Oh, yeah. Aliens created the zombie virus so the humans would kill themselves, and then the aliens would come in and just like,
Well, everyone's infected, right? Everyone has the zombie virus.
Yeah. I liked it better when it was the standard zombie rules apply, where you get like, some sort of saliva or blood on the other guy, and the other guy's just waiting, ticking time bomb. They're gonna turn, and then
you still have to get bit, but if anybody expires naturally, then they reanimate.
Yeah, sorry, I don't like these invented new age zombie rules. I like classic ones. So anyway, all right, so.
I suppose we should go on the clock.
Yes, gotta pay the bills with using our highly underused. Let's go with underused.
Over-engineered, underused.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. And
we've dropped every segment that had a much cooler animation in favor of the segment without the coolest animation. We should probably redo that.
All right, you heard the tick, and that's our cue here, Bob. It looks like Microsoft is coming up with some sort of fancy hinged patent thing for a smartphone. Did you see this?
I did, and I don't know if I'm Microsoft if I want to be known for my outstanding Hinge architecture, but what are your thoughts?
This could be cool. This reminds me of a Nintendo DS. I don't know if you're into video gaming. That's probably after your kids' time, but kind of cool. I kind of like this, but do you one up it by going, all right, this is great, but I have a patent on the trifold screen, and then this is like the number of folds.
I can't see myself using a folding phone, period, the end. I just like...
Did you ever have a Motorola Razr? Come on.
I did have a Razr, but still, I hated that. After 2 weeks of it feeling like it was the communicator from Star Trek.
Do you know how many parents in their 60s and 70s still use flip phones that would not qualify as smartphones?
Right, but they're also old, so I just can't see myself unfolding my phone and enjoying.
What is old is new again, Bob. They're coming back. I'm telling you. Okay. So wouldn't it be weird if China's like, hey, China, we'll just go ahead and cave in and give you all this data and all the private keys that go with it, so you can just come and go as you please? Wouldn't that be weird?
They're doing it because of the access to over 1 billion users. That's the scary part to me. So Apple is basically putting all of its users at risk with privacy by heading down this slippery slope with China and moving the iCloud data for China over to China and giving all the privacy keys along with that data to said government organization in China.
There's a reason I'm not the CEO of Apple, and this is like number 99. This isn't number
well, I was going to say, there's probably more than one reason.
But if I were, this would be like, you know what? Then we're not going to China. I'm sorry. I would be happy with being a small company because you know what? I don't care. It's about principles sometime, and this right here is privacy. And sorry. You can have, there can be some Apple variant clone other company that plays all these games with this regime, and go for it.
Did you notice the linked headline farther down in the article about, and I'm sure it is loosely connected, that Apple is chasing the first company to $1 trillion, leading the way?
Oh, great. So
yeah, so 1 billion plus users, almost getting to $1 trillion. It's all about the Benjamins.
Which is crazy. I mean, at risk of sounding super socialist, at what point is enough enough? I mean, I don't think that money's really trickling down somehow.
Yeah, they're not changing. Yeah, they're not changing the world with that money.
No, I don't think so either. So I would say I'm happy working at smaller companies that do great, but chasing $1 trillion is for ego-minded people. Sorry. Hey, sorry, Apple. Another hate. Okay, so now this website looks a little sketchy, not going to lie. It definitely looks like it was made from mid-2000s, but apparently they're reporting, and we got this off of Flipboard, that Office 365 users are being targeted for phishing.
The thing that kills me is just phishing emails in general. I've not seen any good phishing email tech. Now, that doesn't mean that other people don't fall victim to these quite easily, because they do. It seems to be one of the most effective ways for either distributing, malicious payload and or compromising user credentials. But basically, it sounds like they sent out tax-related phishing emails and got people to click them and turn over their credentials.
So I think phishing, which is a part of social engineering category of hacking, is still amazingly effective. And
I think it's the number one way.
And the reason I think we don't see it as much is because our spam filters help, have gotten a lot better. But I actually appreciate a really good phishing attempt. When I get one and it gets through my filters and it comes in my box, I'm like, let's see. Yeah, that is pretty good. Good job,
it's like
guys.
Appreciating fine art.
Yeah. So
there's services that you can use to test your people from an outside perspective. You can hire a service to send test ones in.
Yep. I like it. All right. More AI stuff. So we got otters in the boardroom, and this is one you pulled off the stack. And is this a case of, are we AIing all the things?
Well, all right. So this is an interesting one, because basically there are services out there. IBM Watson has a voice recognition service that uses supercomputing technology. This company, they call it ambient voice intelligence. They call it ambient because it's working in the background, but they've got it so it works basically in a cell phone app. And they actually they do have a standalone version that Zoom, actually the tool that we're using for the video portion of the show, the video streaming portion, or capturing of my video at least, it's integrated with Zoom. So it will actually, you can use that to get real-time, real-time, whatever you call it, speech to text.
Okay. All right. And enough on that. So it looks like either this was on purpose or just some sort of weird interaction, because there's 23,000 certificates that were revoked because the CEO from Trustico sent it via email. And this is not helping Bob's tinfoil hatness when it comes to security and things like that.
No, we're going to see tons of stories like this coming out. But the weird thing is, in the article, and even references this, is that the resellers like Trustico aren't even supposed to maintain the customer's private keys. So there's just all kinds of nefarious badness going on here. I'm not really sure what the end game was. The article references that the certificates were going to be invalidated anyway. So what were they trying to do? Just expedite that along, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. Back to you. Yeah. So for a private key, in my humble opinion, unless you've set up some sort of backup arrangement or something like that, I should be the only one that has access to my private key, because that private key proves my identity. Who are you? Well, I am so-and-so. And if that key gets out, that chain of trust becomes broken and such. That's why these certificates had to be revoked, because once you prove that I've got 23,000 private keys, unless they're yours, there's a compromise in the chain. So.
And we actually go pretty in-depth in SSL on one of our Wednesday night, most recent, not the most recent one, 2 weeks ago, right? The SSL episode.
Yep.
Should definitely check that out, because we talk about all this certificate silliness and what your options are moving forward in this new environment of required SSL.
And private keys aren't just kind of trivial. There's documented legal cases. There's precedent here where if you sign something with a private key, you're on the hook for it. That's you. So protect your damn private keys. Yeah.
Unless you're Trustico.
Alexa actually did lose her voice last week. And
yeah, but it wasn't just Alexa. There was quite a few other services that were compromised there.
Yeah. Mine went down, and I just mentioned her name and she just woke up over here.
Yes,
So I've got to
exactly.
talk like she's not in the room here. That one electronic voice lady, she stopped working. Looks like the U.S. East went down. This happened.
Why did they call it? Why did they call it the creaky U.S. East? Is the East Node notorious for going down or something?
It went down a couple of years ago, and it took down a lot of things. In fact, this one took down Jira, Bitbucket, Capital One, things like that. It also shows that how dependent we are on these cloud services. Of course, there's someone in some some private company goes, "See, I told you we shouldn't have been in the cloud." And to that guy, I would just take the volume and take it down to 0 on him and not listen to him because it happens. So
I guarantee it will come up in a meeting sometime soon.
Yes.
How safe is this cloud thing? I heard that Alexa lost her voice.
You're right. Let's hire some guy off the street who, can do it better, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you need a whole team. That's what Amazon has. They basically can sell you a team of people, a share of a team of people. And sometimes this happens. So,
whatever. Technology breaks.
All right. Next up, we've got more robot goodness. DeepMind's new robot learned how to teach themselves. So, much.
So this is interesting because, I mean, the tasks are very rudimentary, but it's the process by which they're doing this that's kind of interesting. The robots are given sensors and then not really told what the task is, but they get a reward, which is interesting as well. And the reward is just a point. And eventually what they do is once the robots with their sensors determine what they need to do to get the point, then they take the sensors away and they can do it without the sensors. So there's no program written here that's telling them what to do. It's just basically the sensors collecting data and the reward point. So and it actually says in the article, they're teaching the robots to make humans happy.
So this is like a rewards-based system, like somehow. So isn't a reward or a positive feedback system only possible if you have some sort of way to feel like?
I know, and it's just a point. So that's the crazy thing. So I know that we've got other stories coming up, and they kind of dovetail pretty nicely into this concept. But it's just interesting that. So there's because what you and I have talked about several times as well, is it really they're just following a program of the if then else's, but this apparently is not based on something like that.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't it be weird if this just all went wrong, Bob, and we had killer robots?
I know. It totally dovetails nicely. And the reason why I thought it dovetailed nicely is because we talked about in the previous article, robots making humans happy. So what if to make a human happy, they wanted it to be a bad robot? Hello.
Yeah. Killer robots, a decade or two away. I want to know what that's based off. Is that just like a gut feel, or they're like, no, we got one, and it'll take at least that long to cut through the titanium chains we've got around it right now. So,
well, the article basically says it's a foredrawn conclusion that there will be robots of mass destruction. There will be killer robots, but they think that they're a couple decades off, which doesn't make me, that could turn into 5 years in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So, love robots, think they're cool, but I also think we're life is going to imitate art here real soon, and I don't like that.
Yes, it is.
Are you gonna go my ways? No, Lenny Kravitz isn't here. The app Waze here has a new update here. Really, we're kind of just calling this one out, saying, hey, we use this, and I use it sparingly. Do you use Waze often? Yeah,
and actually we use the ETA screen quite regularly, so it's kind of cool that it got updated. Basically, what you can do is, get your directions and then say, I want to use them later, and then you can pick what time you want to arrive, and Waze will do some calculating and say, well, if you want to arrive at 5 p.m., then you need to leave based on, previous traffic data. You need to leave around this time approximately. So it's a pretty good tool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't really...
It's crowdsourced, so it's very cool.
And it's got Indianapolis here, which I don't know if there's some sort of Indiana connection going to Bloomington. So maybe there's an Indiana University. Sorry, I always look into things like this. All right. Like the Energizer Bunny, the Meltdown and Spectre patching keeps on going.
It does keep on going, but remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about how they undid the patches that were being sent out. So now Microsoft is in the process of slowly and maybe surely redoing them, but apparently there's a very slim set of hardware that can actually take this new update from them. Looks like only Windows machines running the Fall Creators Update version 1709 that have 6th generation Intel Core processors. So that's a pretty narrow band in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, I think some of this is very hard to pull off. So how much of this is return on investment? How much of this is Intel going, all right, guys, we got to show effort here in the eventual lawsuit that's going to land in front of a judge, because there's like 30-some lawsuits out there. So is this just showing effort?
Probably.
I don't know. So, all right.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. All right. We have just done our... What do we call it?
You're technically off the clock now.
Yeah, we are off the clock. So now we're going to give you our bleeding hearts. Say,
click I went the wrong way.
Click the button, please, down there. By clicking that button, it shows you are interested in the crazy ramblings of Bob and Kevin. We do tech on Mondays. We do some sort of variety shows sort of thing on Wednesdays. Like last week we did SSL. We did, no, was that 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, SSL, yep. Last week was how other talk shows do it.
That's right. So, which turned, shockingly, we went into that with very little script, and it turned out, I thought, very well. So go ahead and hit that button and you won't miss a thing. We are located in a central and eastern time zone. So when we decide to go live, it's typically friendly for Pacific and maybe Australia, that side. Europeans.
And lunchtime for the Europeans.
Well, this show is friendly for, but
yes.
The midweek is friendly for the Pacific in Australia. So we've got a little bit for everyone, is what I'm getting at there. So,
yes.
All right, so I think it's time to do the friendly quiz segment this week.
Shoot, I thought we were going to skip it.
We are not going to skip it. In fact, I don't know, you might do well on this one, so we'll see how well you squirm. So are you ready for the category, Bob?
Lay it on me, brother.
It is the Oscars. So I just wanted to keep it relevant in terms of current events.
Did Get Out win any Oscars? Did Get Out win?
I believe that, yes. Actually, yes. I know they won at least one, but not in the major categories. And that is not an answer to one of my questions.
That's about all I got.
But the first question is, how many years has the Oscars been on? How many rounds of the Oscars? It was part of their logo.
Oh, was it 90?
It was 90. Very good.
Yeah, so I was trying to remember because we did talk about the logo. Did we talk about that on air one time?
We didn't.
The 90s, the 90 Oscars logo?
Yeah, because if you just look at it from a, just you don't know the Oscars, which, there's a few people that don't. It looks like 90s Cars.
90s Cars, that's what it was.
Or 90s Scars.
90 Scars.
So
I got some scars from the 90s, emotional and physical.
90 Scars sounds like an Oscar-winning movie.
It's my new band name, actually. Right. 90 Scars.
Well, so you got one. All right. So, in the vein of future tech, AI, things like that, which sci-fi movie won 3 Oscars last night, including Best Visual Effects, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Production Design? Your hint is that it is sci-fi related.
Oh, gosh. I watched so few movies. Was it the space travel show movie where the... I give up.
So, did you see or heard of a movie where a woman falls in love with a merman?
No.
Okay, well, it wasn't that movie, but that movie won a bunch of other stuff, and that was called The Shape of Water. So
I'm so uncultured.
The sci-fi movie that won Best Visual Effects, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Production Design was Blade Runner 2049, the reboot on Blade Runner.
I heard that was excellent. Did you see it?
I actually haven't seen it because I heard it wasn't that good, and then it wins 3 Oscars. You know,
wow.
So I'm gonna have to check it out now. Okay, you're one for one.
Was Harrison Ford in that?
He was in the original, and I believe he makes an appearance in the second one. And fact checkers will have to just jump on that one because I'm just totally guessing.
Interns, get on it.
Yes. All right, the final one. So Jimmy Kimmel started the night saying, "Guys, this is good. You know, we're tired of it being the longest show. You know, for the love of God, keep them short. Keep it. You know, when the music plays, you know, at your cue, we won't chase you off, but we'll be playing some music. However,
there was a penis joke involved somewhere, wasn't there?
I'm sure, but that is not the answer to this question.
Damn it.
That has no context here. So." They gave a prize away at the end of the night to the person, and they showed it like the Price is Right style. You will get this if you have the shortest speech, and then they gave it away at the end of the night. What was the prize?
Lifetime supply of Tide Pods.
It was not. And I'm really perplexed at why they picked this prize because I'm like, what's the connection to anything?
Well, that's why I went random.
Well, close. It was a jet ski. So they gave away a jet ski of all things, and people kept referencing it all night. Like, I'm from Brooklyn, I don't need a jet ski, and they just kept talking. You know. So anyway, all right.
It's baller. That's why jet ski is baller. So I only got the first one right.
You got the first one right. Wow. So okay. You know, I another thing that kind of rubbed me raw this weekend, and that. Yeah, sorry. That doesn't sound good.
We're now entering Kevin's rant.
Something that was chafing me was...
That's not any better.
No, it's not. I wanted to go to meetup.com and try to find some social things around here, you know? And I'm like, hey, let me check this out, check that out. And I go here.
Social or tech?
Anything. So, full disclosure, I'm just like, it could be tech. It could be an Oscar viewing party. It could be... hey guys, let's do a documentary because some of the cool metro areas have real groups that have
film clubs,
fun things to do for adults. And so I go on Meetup and I'm like, cool, I don't see what I want, so that's problem number one. I'm like, there's just nothing there. So Kevin, don't bring me a complaint without a solution, right? Let me sign up for Meetup. And when you sign up, you go through it, and it's like a 4-step process, and then you get there, and then they're like, all right, it's like $15 or $10 a month.
See, that's the part that really does bum me out about that, because when you look at the list, I mean, the almost infinite list of free resources that we have, thanks to the glorious thing that we call the internet, why is this a pay service?
And... Well, because of this. $20 billion startup WeWork continues its strapping spree with $200 million for Meetup. So it is about the money for them. So it's about investment. And
but Meetup was free before, or has it always been a pay model?
I think it's always been a pay model.
That's what I thought.
But it's a huge barrier for me because I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll start a group. I'll muster the courage. I'll start a group.
That's why you had to pay, because you were starting a group. If
Correct.
You were just searching, it would have been free. Okay, I was going to say, I know it used to be where only group organizers had to pay.
Yeah,
but still, that's what is that? $120 a year?
Yeah, and you have 0 members on day one, not counting the organizer. And if you've ever been to a meetup where you have 100 people in the group, you might get 10% show up, maybe, if you're lucky. So the return on that investment is just not there. So I suggested to them, like, gosh, can't you have like a free tier where if you get this gosh darn thing bootstrapped that you know, okay, now pay. So like cap on the number of events, a cap on the number of members, something. And to their credit, they tweeted back at me, but they're basically like, yeah, we'll pass it on, but yeah, right. So I
think a free tier of up to 15 or 20 members, or maybe even 10, you could cap it at 10. That's fine.
And then, so I put out a call for, well, is there any alternatives to Meetup? And this is hot off the press. And I'm like, cool, here's one. It's called attending.io. And if I hit browse here, I'm like, okay, cool. If I put in my zip code, I'm like, oh, oops, that isn't my zip code. But if I put in any zip code, I get the dreaded 500 error. Or I'm like, well, what the heck is it? How hard is it for people to write software that is low barrier and connects people? Apparently, Meetup, it's working in some places.
Now, can I ask you a really difficult question, though?
Yes.
Did you reach out to them and let them know that their search was giving a 500 error?
No, because literally Christian Steinmeier sent me this 5 minutes before.
Okay,
showtime,
so this is all very raw. Okay.
Yeah. Right. But I would expect Meetup to kind of be a leader of this. And apparently the budgets are so tight, or it's so popular at Meetup, that they feel the need to charge immediately. And I just find that to be kind of like, man, that's stuck.
So maybe this is your disrupt. Maybe you come up with a new Meetup organization.
Maybe, because I'm a firm believer of just don't do something because you can do it better. Do it because it's solving a problem you embody, you internalize. So I presently have, I live in a small town. We only have 8,000 people here. We're connected to a larger metro area of 300,000-ish. But that's a half-hour drive. I would like something a little more local. But there becomes a problem. People are already going to Meetup, maybe. How do you bootstrap thing? Insert, well, how do you get that off the ground? All I'm looking to do is get some people together. And it just seems that you got to pay. And I don't foresee a group just being created out of thin air and, costing money. It's not going to be successful for a while. So I just find that this is just kind of a bad solution. Now, somebody may say, Kevin, you can't afford $10 or $15 a month. I'm like, well, I can, but $10 or $15 adds up,
And that's also not the point.
Right. And I'm paying people on Patreon far less than 10 or 15 a month because I respect their work, and I have no relationship with Meetup, and I have to pay them $10 or $15 a month, and I may get no value out of it. So that's just, the value proposition is just not there for me. So anyway, Bob, fix my problem for me. How do I fix my problem?
You got to write your own.
Being programmers, that is kind of like an easy crutch, but I ain't got time for everything.
No.
Man.
Plus, it's a massive undertaking.
It is a massive undertaking. I had to take a step back from writing free open source software for folks because, again, it's return on investment. I have 4 kids. I can't say, hey, kids, it's worth the sacrifice here because we're going to, punch through and we're going to, all get to go to Disneyland because, dad did this. And that's just not true.
Well, the biggest sacrifice is not just the financial, it's the time. I mean, when you put it under the framework of I have 4 kids, I mean, you can't drop your life to, it seems like a fairly selfish choice at that point.
So Meetup got bought for
$200 million.
$200 million back at the end of last year. And someone there, thinks that their current model is great. I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what? I don't know what I'm talking about because somebody there is making money. But that would be my suggestion.
Someone there made an investment. It's yet to be known if they're making money.
True. So my suggestion to them is make it...
Lighten up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because for the state of Indiana, north central Indiana, your options are extremely limited. And that was very disappointing. Full disclosure, I expected to go there and be like, all right, I'll have to be choosy because there's going to be too many groups for me to decide from. And it was the opposite. It was just like, God, there's just nothing here.
And there was nothing.
There was nothing here. So again, I was like, hey, let me, Kevin, why don't you spearhead a group? Yes, I'll do it. And then just met with barriers. And I'm like, okay, now I know why there's not a bunch of groups out there. Whatnot. I would certainly be willing to pay eventually once I get something off the ground. But just not yet. Just not there.
Let me bounce another topic off you while we're kind of free forming here, and then we can kind of wrap it at that. So speaking of money and how it matters to some people and doesn't matter to others, did you see the headline that Amazon is going to stop selling the Nest products?
Yes.
Because they're Google based. So I'm pretty sure Amazon makes a couple bucks off of selling Nest products. Why are they doing that? Why are they poo-pooing that? I'm so confused. Oh, look at you pulling up a headline.
Well, I think it's an ego thing again. Just like we have the Apple chasing $1 trillion because why? $1 trillion, Kevin. We have, I think, Amazon and Google having a phallic size contest.
Turf 4.
And, okay, yeah, I guess that's more kid friendly. And yeah, because Nest spun off of Google. Now Google's reabsorbing it back in, and Amazon's going, wait a second, we can't help our competition. But that's where I'm just like, is Google and Amazon really? I guess they are competitors, but can't they be healthy competitors, or is this just like every dollar matters?
I just thought Amazon didn't care who they made money off of, so that was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. So maybe because iCloud, so you got really the three giants, four if you include Microsoft. You got Google, Apple, and Amazon. Those are the big three. Microsoft's in the conversation too, but we'll call it four. It just seems like those guys are always trying to one-up each other, and there's some healthy competition in there, but I don't call this healthy. This right here is kind of hurts the consumer.
Very childish and weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I just saw it, and I just wanted to know what you thought about it. So,
do you have any Nest products? Do you have like a smart?
I do not.
Or whatever
I do not, because my house is wired in such an old-timey way that I don't know if it's going to work. So,
all right. Well, all right, Bob. I think we need to bring a wrap to the show. Good stuff as always.
Anybody who's watching, whether it's live or later, put some comments. Let us know what kind of headlines you want us to cover, because we scour the web and we pick stuff that's interesting to us, but we want to know what's interesting to you. Maybe you're not all into robots and AI and making fun of Apple and Microsoft, but that's kind of like, at least that's my little script for picking headlines.
Yep, same here. I just find things that I think are interesting. We dump them into a Slack channel for, I guess it is a Slack channel. And then we vet them pre-show, usually on Sundays, and go, that's really not that interesting, or the equation's changed or whatnot. And then if it still holds, we go to press, so to speak, with them and have our show. So. All right, Bob.
Well, it was another fun one. I learned a lot again this week, so hopefully you all did too.
All right, one more thing on the checklist.
Bring the lightning.